It's got one purpose for me, and that's to pass the butter. Hello, and today we're going to go into some cards that Konami was like,
you weren't supposed to do that.
the little meme right there. Starting off with a Rite of Asmir. This is a whole adventure archetype where we're supposed to be gathering these cool different equip cards and exploring magical lands, meeting friends and casting spells, right? Going on a grand fateful adventure. But no, what happens is this card right here is supposed to be like a nice, like put us into the actually anime as we ourselves are part of the cards and using this adventure. But no, it's just used for this Griffin Rider Turbo card. This card basically is an Omni Negate, and that's all this archetype is really good for. Speaking of which, Griffin Rider is this little monster thing right here. I never really noticed it until I zoomed in on the artwork. That's really funny. But yeah, that's going to be the kind of things we're going to be talking about in this video. Cards that are being used, not that's for its intended purpose, that Konami didn't intend. So let's go into outer space for this next one, into the cosmos. In fact, macrocosmos. Yeah, look at this. It's got some ugly white guy with some messy hair in the artwork. I can't imagine being an ugly white guy in some artwork like that. But what's really interesting is this card was used to intentionally trying to search this Helios Primordial Sun guy. Look at it. And it's supposed to be used for that because when it's banished, you know, you're collecting cards, but nobody uses it for that. No, it's just used in stun, and in fact, we don't even use it to search anymore. It's just used for the effect that any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So it's greatly used in stun, and it's also used in like Kashtira archetype. So maybe that's kind of its intended purpose, right? Because it was kind of made to be used for like banishment archetypes, so maybe that gets a pass. But speaking of Kashtira Fenrir, this card I don't think is being used for its intended purpose, banned in the OCG, because a Kashtira Fenrir searches a Kashtira Fenrir, and in fact it's such a really strong card that could just come out, right? You don't need to have control no monsters, it just comes right out, bada bing bada boom. Very, very strong card. Don't think that's intended. But ooh, how about this Salamangreat Almirage? This Salamangreat card, right, was supposed to be used for like maybe the Salamangreat engine, right? It's just a nice normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack. How about being a cute card in there, right? Being a nice cute card. No, I don't want to be the ugly fox. Anyways, this archetype was intended probably to be used for that, but really all it's being used now in modern Yu-Gi-Oh is fodder for SP Little Knight, because you take 2 effect monsters and now you're fodder for SP Little Knight. Or even worse, it's just a material for Link Gardna, so you go into Salamangreat Almirage, which goes into Link Gardna, and now we have a material for Dogmatica Maximus, who can special summon itself if it is, you know, if you got a monster from the extra deck in the graveyard. So using something like that, poor Salamangreat Almirage, huh? It was only a matter of time. And speaking of time, Gagaga Cowboy, let's look at this effect here. Pretty interesting effect. Basically, 2 level 4 monsters once per turn detach an XZs from this. Apply this effect. If it's in defense position, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Really, really nice. Maybe used for game, but in fact, it's actually used in TCG matches now for time, to win in time. I don't really think when Konami made that, they expected Gagaga Cowboy to be such an interesting card to be used in time, and that's why it's just being used for that effect, to just win because the time limit is running out. Very, very interesting. Just small fun fact there. Metal Foes Fusion, very good card. One of my favorite cards. I really love Metal Foes Fusion. It's got a really cool effect, right? It's supposed to be used for the Metal Foes archetype as a fusion card, right? Fusion summon a Metal Foes monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand and field, right? Going into these cool Metal Foes cards. But what it's being used for now really is for the second effect part of it, where look at this. If this card is in your graveyard, shuffle it, draw a card. So you could use this in like the Horus engines, all these different kinds of engines that have these discard outlets, as now Metal Foes Fusion is just to be used to discard, go into the graveyard, and now you get to draw a card. That's pretty interesting, pretty fun. So, speaking of fun, look at these beautiful tree here, these nice ash blossoms. Yes, I think these hand traps right here were never intended. Ash blossoms and Maxi never really intended by Konami to be as big as they are. Ash blossom is now a staple in almost every deck. You know, some people are considered fools for not using ash blossom, and I actually kind of don't use ash blossoms in a lot of my decks. I prefer Ghost Ogre. But it's funny enough, ash blossom really did blow blow up. And Maxi especially banned, of course, in TCG and still allowed in OCG and Master Duel. It was made in a time when people weren't special summoning that much, and now everybody special summons at least 15 times a turn. So I don't really think Konami expected these cards to do as good as they did, and now they had to get hit and limited for it. Maxi had to, actually, but Ash Blossom now really grew on her own. So very, very interesting in that regard. And now something really interesting here. How about these three cards? Predaplant, Verde Anaconda, Noble Knights Isolde, and Kristan Halki Fabrex. It reminds me of that meme where it's like, why is this something happens? It's always you three, right? These three were the premier Link 2 monsters, right? Because they were created in a time where the Link monsters couldn't, there was a Master Rule 4 where these, you couldn't special summon basically into the monster zone. They had to be special summoned. A Link monster had to be pointing to them. So the rules were kind of different then, and now they made a Master Rule 5, and they're kind of not in their intended purpose anymore. So a lot of these cards are banned, right? Kristan Halki Fabrex banned in all formats. There's not a single format where he's allowed to be alive. He was made to basically help tuners come out. He's just special summon a level 3 tuner that's just in your deck, sure, or hand. Solde's just made to just special summon warrior monsters, and Predaplant Verte Anaconda just goes into any fusion that you want, or it copies the fusion spell that's in your deck. So these three cards, super powerful. Two of them are still allowed in Master Duel, funny enough, but yeah, greatly abused and not used for their intended purposes. Now, let's jump into two really unique cards right here that definitely weren't intended, some kind of interaction here. The Tyrant Neptune. Basically, look at this big guy. He's made to copy effects in the graveyard. This guy is now banned in, I think, every format because of this copying effect, and Independent Nightingale is basically used not in her archetype, just really used in other decks to just burn. This card was copying this card with some crazy effect, or other burn cards. Basically, now every card that comes out in Yu-Gi-Oh! Had to be balanced around the Tyrant Neptune for copying cards, and Independent Nightingale, very funny because it's not used in her Lyrilisc archetype. I just thought that's really funny. She's used in every Degenerate combo outside of her archetype. You won't even see her in the Lyrilisc archetypes. So those two cards, just wanted to highlight there. Another fun card that's not being used the way Konami intended was the Dino Wrestler Pankratops, right? He could have kind of went next to Fenrir in his purpose. He was released in this Pankratops, the Dino Wrestler archetype, excuse me, and funny enough, he was just a common in Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. He was just a common card. You would pull it, and you'd pull this card. Konami didn't intend for this card to be such a powerhouse that he was when he came out. This guy could just special summon himself, you know, if your opponent controls more monster than you do. He just comes out, slams himself on the field, a big 2,600 beat stick, and then it's also a quick effect removal. Very strong. And Konami definitely didn't intend, I don't think, for Tops to be such a big deal that he is. And big guy. Love him in a lot of my Go Second decks. I love him in Go Second decks. Speaking of stuff that's a big deal, look at this guy, Trias Haraikia. This guy was like a free agent here. What does this guy do, right? This guy's really fun. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, quick effect, tribute up to 3 fairy monsters, special summon this card, and you can apply the effects here. You know, could destroy a monster if you tribute 2 fairies. You could draw 2 cards if you tribute 3 fairies. It could do both, right? Very interesting effect. What's really cool about it is it's being used in generators. Don't think it was expected to be used there, because they summon a bunch of tokens. Basically, when your opponent draws a card for turn, they'll summon like 4 tokens, because you'll get a generator monster and 4 tokens. So now if it's in the hand or graveyard, it can be used for there. Also, it's being sent to the graveyard with Diviner of Herald. I don't think this interaction was really intended. You send it to the graveyard with Diviner of Herald, and then you tribute it, and then now you can get a fairy monster because Diviner of Herald was tributed, and you can get like a low, or maybe like an Eva or something like that. Really interesting stuff. I don't really know if Konami intended that to be used with that, but it is a free agent, and so fun fact, it's kind of like an honorary generator or honorary voiceless voice card, because it is a real fun free agent, and I don't know, maybe that one was something Konami intended. You tell me if you think it was or not. But But here's something definitely not intended, right? Gold Sarcophagus. When this card came out, you're supposed to banish a card from your deck, and then you had to wait a couple of turns to get that card, right? You had to get it during your second standby phase after the card's activation. You can add that card to your hand. Pretty cool. Yeah, give me a card, right? Use this. You know, you got to survive a little bit, you know, do a little thing, do a little bit of dodging, surviving, so you get the card you want. But no, now this card is just used just to banish a card, and it's used to like, oh, look, if this card is banished, you can add a fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. That won't get abused in any way, I'm sure, right? No. That won't definitely get abused to add like a Tenpai card or something. Yeah, so that's what it's being used for now, is just to banish a card, and with these cards that now have these immediate on banished effects, you get to like add a card and do something crazy. You know, yeah, if this card is banished, yes, smack your Uncle Pete in the face. Yeah, they do these crazy banishment effects. Now, speaking of cards going to places, these extra deck cards, with these cards where if they go to the graveyard they have some effect, they're being used with Nadir Servant. I don't know if a lot of these cards were intended, these extra deck cards with these floating effects. I don't know if Konami intended for all of this to be happening. There's a lot of extra deck cards that when they go to the graveyard they do some kind of crazy effect, draw a card, Garura, right? A lot of interesting cards. You could send them with Nadir Servant. There's a bunch of cards that could send stuff from the extra deck to the graveyard. So very fun there. I don't think that was used to be intended. Now, I'm just yapping a lot, and by the way, if you like to hear me yap, come join the Discord. Like and subscribe, by the way. I do a lot of mathematical videos and statistics. I love doing that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, come give us a like, give us a subscribe, join the Discord, and don't forget, people, or leave a comment, be like, oh, you forgot my combo, my 3-card combo, Jesse, right? Leave it in the combo. There's just something Konami didn't intend, Jesse. Fusilier Dragon with level resist wall and sound the retreat, because what's gonna happen is you use Fusilier Dragon, you can normal summon it, then you use level resist wall. This is Konami didn't intend this at all. People will actually write this in the comments, by the way, but it's actually really cool and I love it. You know, look, Konami didn't intend to use level resist wall. You target the Fusilier Dragon, and then you get to summon Exodia, because look, all 3 pieces of Exodia, all 5 pieces, right? They don't even know how many pieces of Exodia there are. It equals 7, and you return them to the hand, and now you summon Exodia. Yeah, see, I didn't forget your Fusilier Dragon thing that Konami didn't intend. But so if you have something wild like that I maybe didn't list, yeah, leave it in the comments below, because there's a lot of cards here that I didn't leave out, and I still got to show you a card here. But maybe, so these are some honorable mentions that maybe Konami didn't intend. I kind of think they did. I was talking to some people in my Discord about it, about some cards, if Konami did or didn't intend for them to be used their purpose. But one card that it really was funny that came up was, I think we all agreed, was the goddess, the moon of the closed heaven. This guy takes the #1 spot, or this girl, I should say, takes the #1 spot, because look at this. It's got this interesting effect here. Look at this effect here. In fact, this effect doesn't even matter. Don't even read the effect. It could say anything you want. It could say if you summon this card, it orders a pizza to your door and you get $1 million. It doesn't matter what the effect says. All that matters is that it's a light fiend, because now what we're going to do is we're going to take a light fiend, and now since it's a light fiend, any 2 monsters went into light fiend, we can summon Fiendsmith Requiem, which is a Link 1 that all it required was a light fiend monster, and now we have a full Fiendsmith combo, which is an actual deadly archetype, which can get a negate, it can go into 2 level 6s, it can give us a Link 4, it can go into all this stuff, and I don't know if this is what Konami intended it at all. Maybe they did. You could tell me that below in the comments too. But anyways, yeah, that's something definitely I don't think Konami intended, but who knows? You never know what Konami thinks. I definitely think that wasn't intended. But now let's go into something, some replays where I'm going to use some cards, maybe like cards mentioned above, the fun replays where I don't know if Konami intended these or not. Let's see. We got some Duelist Cup stuff. The highest of competitive tournaments is in the Duelist Cup. People bring the most try-hard decks here. And look at this. Of course, the try-hard deck. I'm going to be going against Snake Eye Poplar. He's going to be adding the Temple. I'm going to droll him. That's crazy, though, because this is Snake Eyes. Look at everything he can do under droll. Remind you, he is under droll here, but this is the #1 deck right now. Definitely a Master Duel. We're going to see what it can do. He's under droll. He's still going to pop off, and he already had in his hand. Unfortunate for me, the original Sinful Spoils. So he's going to go into Snake Eye Ash. Ash can't add a card at least, but he will be able to go into that. That's going to get Professor Oak. Snake Eye Oak's going to get a card from the graveyard. He's going to use that card. I don't think that Cash Tier card was intended, speaking of stuff intended, just to go to the graveyard for more tribute fodder, and now he's going to use that card and this card to go into an IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is just going to be annoying, and of course he's got Flamberge, which is going to be like, give me back my 2 guys, you know what I'm saying? And this is just so annoying. Mind you, again, remember, he is under Droll and Lockbird, and just all I'm doing is I'm getting blinded by animations. I can't see anymore. I've lost vision in my left eye because of all of these animations. He's just blinding me. Maybe he's hoping I'll resign that way. So, very, very deadly. In my hand, what do I got? I've got like 2 leaves and like, oh my gosh, more animations. I'm getting blinded. I've got like two peas in the pot here. I've got like a leaf. I don't really have much here. Going into Silhouette Rabbit here, that can also pop a back row. Very, very interesting. So, I don't really have much here. Skull Guardian, nice to have. So, I will start off with Low. Low will get me a card. I want to do this before because I know he's going to rush into Appaloosa. That's what they always go into. So, here comes IP Masquerena. This card is going to let me get a back row card, but this is what Silhouette Rabbit is for. That's to pop a card. So he's going to use that to pop a card. And now what do I do here? Well, I'm going to go into Salamangreat Almirage, and Salamangreat Almirage has a very unique effect. You could tribute this card and it could do all this stuff, but no, that's not really what I'm going to use it for. It's got one purpose for me, and that's to pass the butter. And the butter that I'm using it for is to, again, I'm going to go into the Secure Garden. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Secure Garden has an effect where it just basically prevents me from taking battle damage for the first time, but I really don't care for that effect. He's going to go into Appaloosa. It's mainly effect was just putting Almirage in the graveyard so I could special summon Dogmatica Maximus. Dogmatica Maximus has the effect where I just need to basically banish a Fusion, Xyz, Link Monster, or Synchro from my graveyard, special summon this from my hand. So definitely I don't think Konami intended that, but did Konami intend for Snake Eyes to be this deadly of a deck? I don't know if it did, because Snake Eyes, again, look at this, Ash is going off, Snakes on a Plane is going off. Where's Samuel L. Jackson? He would love to be here right now, or maybe he wouldn't because all these snakes on the plane. And I've had enough of these snakes on my plane because Oak added Poplar and this added that. But at least I had the foresight to use Blessing to get this card back because he thought he destroyed it with his little Silhouette Ash. But I'm going to use it to get this card back. There was a lot of plethora of cards I could have chose to get, but I'm choosing to get this Ritual Spell because, again, he's got Applewell, so any monster I choose to get, he's going to stop me. And actually, Droll is going to stop me from getting a lot of stuff further, too. But I'm going to use my spell here. I'm going to use that as the ritual card, Ritual Fodder, Degeneration X. I can at least finally get Skull Guardian with a lot of attack here. Nice. He's going to kind of chain block himself from using Appo because he really just wants to pop my card. He wants to pop that Skull Guardian so badly because he doesn't want me to get my negate out. But unfortunately for him, because I chose my Prayer of the Voiceless Voice, I get to just special summon a light ritual monster back anyways. And he's still popping off, by the way. I don't even know what he's doing, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm getting Degeneration X, the Skull Guardian, as he makes his X, because X marks the spot, and because now he's in a bit of a bad spot, because now I can use my Dogmatica Maximus without fear of him using his Appo, because if he uses his Appo to negate my Maximus, Skull Guardian has a negate on the field as well, so I'm going to just now banish my card, and I get to send, again, 2 cards from my extra deck to the graveyard to use for maybe summoned purposes. I don't know if Konami intended. This card gives me a nice protection effect where if you do something to my monsters, I get to send one of your monsters back, and Entis allows me to pop a card, and the card I want to pop is this back row Divine Temple, because that's going to do a lot. He actually wants to have his Fiendsmith cards go back, but sure, he could do that way, send his little Fiendsmith card back, but I'm going to now go into the battle phase. Bada bing, bada boom. Secure Gardener putting in a little work, getting rid of Professor Oak there, the Snake Eye Oak, and that's all really I could do, unfortunately. But I don't like to end my turn with Snake Eyes having all these options. Now he gets to go into the battle phase. He's going to try to push me into the back row permanently with this Snake Eye Diabellstar. Of course we can't have that. I'm going to use my negate there. No. You don't push me around. I push you around. So we're going to get rid of that there. And unfortunately for him, all of his monsters are forced to attack my Barrier of the Voices force. Basically forces him to attack my Skull Guardian. That's the only target he could do because all of my monsters are light. And what happens is the Barrier of the Voices voice says when I control Lol and a ritual monsters, my opponent's monsters can only target my ritual for attack. And also he cannot target any of my light monsters with card effects. So no matter what he does, I'm pretty much protected so long as I got the Skull Guardian and Low on the field. So he's got Snake Eye Flamberge, and again, he's going to try to push my guy in the back row, but he can't target it. He can't target any of my monsters. So he's going to try to clog up my backfield here with some cards. So very annoying, but that's fine. And I'm going to use this card here, and he realizes that I have him in a deadly lock. I got him in a stranglehold, and I'm going to send more of his extra deck to the graveyard. I'm going to just slowly strangle him like the anaconda. He's the snake, but I'm the anaconda, slowly giving my grip, wrapping my grip around his neck, baby, as I thrust him up and down with my tight lock. And so, of course, he's forced to resign. All right, here we go. Now, luckily enough, finally, I get to go first. I'm gonna go first, and what am I gonna do here? I'm gonna use my Nadir Servant. Again, I don't know if Konami intends for this to happen. Look, I get to get my Dogmatica Maximus. I'm gonna send Tri-Brigade Arms Bucelophus II to the graveyard to get me a Dogmatica Maximus, and Tri-Brigade Bucelophus, what is his name? Tri-Brigade Arms Bucelophus II has a cool graveyard effect where if this card is sent to the graveyard, I can send a Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monster from my extra deck to the graveyard. I'm going to send Garura. His effect is to just draw a card. He's had enough of that, and he's going to use, again, Maxi to start drawing some cards. So now every card I special summon, he's going to get a card. Very deadly that I'm in Maxi. Let's take a little peek, a little gander at what he's got, though, to see what I'm up against. And, oh, my gosh, look at this. He's got Lightning Storm, which is going to destroy everything. A Sky Striker card, another Heavy Storm, which is going to destroy everything, and a Sky Striker Mobilize Engaged. This is definitely a Tenpai version that uses the Sky Striker cards to draw cards, because Sky Striker has the effect where, you know, they could draw a card if they get so many spells in the graveyard. So again, I'm going to want to get rid of that Mobilize. I'm going to take a little hand, and I'm going to notice he's got a lot of destruction effects. I really don't like that, and I'm under Maxi. I don't like to hope for the best here that he doesn't get a good top deck, so I will want to do something here, but how many cards am I going to give him? I could probably just end my turn and be satisfied with it, but again, it's pretty deadly because he does have that card which will destroy me. So I'm gonna get one Skull Guardian here. I'll give him a draw, and I'll add this card here. These cards are good protection effects. I'll normal summon this guy. My only choice is to get this Radiance, because any other spell I choose, he's just going to destroy it. And I gave him one card. He's going to draw another. So I really don't like that. I'm going to choose to get this low also. It might come in handy later. But, oh my gosh, I don't like that. He's got two unknown cards I don't know. So he's definitely going to choose to destroy my cards here. This is why I chose to get this Radiance of the Voiceless Voice. It allows me to special summon a monster. So I'm going to get rid of that card, and it'll let me special summon the Cervarus. And of course it's going to get destroyed. We knew that was going to happen. Now, he's going to try to target me. Now, luckily I do have this Cervarus protection, but since he targeted this card, I can kind of dodge it. He's got a little bit of dodging effects mechanics. So call me Neo in the Matrix right now, because I'm dodging his cards, you know what I'm saying? And here he goes, he's trying to target again. And again, my Cervarus helps out my Cervarus. That's why I like using two Cervaruses. So again, dodging his effects like I'm Neo in the Matrix, but he still has another deadly effect right here. Gonna destroy all of my monsters. But that's fine, because remember, I put that Prayers of the Voiceless Voice turn 1 just for such occasion. So yes, Degeneration X is back, baby. X marks the spot. We're gonna X you up because he's got one card left, and that is gonna be negated by my card. So stop you from doing what you want to do. And again, he's using, kind of interestingly enough, he was using Sky Striker in a way I don't think Konami intended either. But again, I had some cards that wasn't intended. So it equaled out, but that's a fun video of just funny enough how the game evolved into kind of maybe unintended mechanics. Again, he used Max C. I don't think Konami intended for Max C to ever be such a crazy card. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments. But Max C is certainly now the #1 card that we play around these days, especially Master Duel. So hope you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.